Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and here I am talking to you not about a game, not about a book, not about one of my little nannering blogs where I go off on whatever it is that's bothering me at that moment. No, today I'm going to be talking to you about this thing right in front of me right here. This is a Gametopper. Gametopper is an alternative to purchasing a gaming table. Now, the person that has designed this and created this, who has Gametoppers right now on Kickstarter, is a friend of mine. His name is Kevin Burkhartsmeyer, and I'm actually privileged to have actually seen a lot of the origins of this product and also the development of it over the last few years. Now, I am going to... Kevin gave me this one. This is a 3-foot by 3-foot table, and he gave it to me quite a while ago, actually, to have in my videos. And if you've been watching my videos, you may have noticed that normally I just kind of had like a folding table. It's a decent folding table, and right now it's underneath this Gametopper right here. I picked up like a 3-foot by 3-foot kind of nice folding table at Target quite a while ago. And I've been just throwing a mat on top of that and showing off the games on top of that. You know, I always went to like conventions and things like that, and I would see these really cool looking you know, board game tables. You know, they would just and the thing that people always see is they see this, right? They see the edge, and then they see that the playing area is kind of indented a little bit, and that you're got like all of your stuff is a little further down from you, right? And I don't know exactly. I mean, obviously the big thing is like you can't throw stuff off the table. It's going to hit the side of the table and it won't go off. But you know, I think the idea of it is it's just a little touch of class, if you will. It's like being at a casino, so to speak, and having like that table that you play on. And definitely, like back in the day, and I'll talk about this probably in my conclusion here. But like, you know, back in the day when I played a lot of poker, we had one friend who had the gaming table that had the cushion rails and things like that, and obviously that was so when you dealt out the cards, you know, they wouldn't fly off, your chips don't fall off the table, those sorts of things. So I always, when I saw these things, I always thought of a casino, right? And I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but that's what I always thought. But the whole premise of it is that, you know, we are always looking for ways to like make the games that we play more enjoyable, right? Now, I'm going to show you what this does and the things about it that are really awesome. But I mean, the bottom line, right, is that, you know, the game that you play is going to be the same whether you play it on the floor, whether you play it on your kitchen table, whether you are playing like a roll and write game on a plane and using those little fold-out trays. You know, no matter where you're playing it, no matter where you're doing it, it's the same game, right? But it's about the experience. It's about bettering the environment that you're actually playing that game in. And we've all like seen those really, really expensive gaming tables, and we've said, oh man, how do I come up with the, like, you know, in some cases $4,000 or $5,000 that I would need to do in order to have that particular item? And, you know, for a lot of us, that's just not a possibility, right? And for a lot of us also, we just don't have the dedicated space within our houses, within our apartments, wherever we happen to live. We don't have a spot where we can just go ahead and import a giant table into that. So what Kevin did is he basically said, what if I took the Gametopper, if I took like like something that I put on top of the table and use that as like you're using the table that you already own, because, you know, your kitchen table, or in some cases you could have this on the floor, you could have this as an ottoman or on what have you, but then you're placing the playing surface on top of that, and it would replicate the whole what you're using, right? And so, like, and I'm just going to pick this up real quick, and it's not light, mind you. So I mean, but this is just right on the top of my table. I think this thing, I think he says it weighs around 40 pounds. It's made out of wood and aluminum, and it is sturdy as heck. I'm trying to push this off of the table, and all I'm doing is actually pushing my table on my floor. You know, it is sturdy as heck. Now you might have noticed that like it moved a little bit, but that isn't this thing moving. That's the actual like folding table that I have it seated on that is actually moving, that's shaking. So it is sturdy as heck, and that's one of the things that I wanted to draw your attention to, is the fact that it is a very, very nice surface, you know, and that, you know, it's just, that isn't going to shuffle on you, it isn't going to, you know, tip over on you or anything like that. Plus, here, I'm if you've met me, I'm going to have to stand up and get out of the sight here for a second. I am a larger gentleman, right? You know, I'm not proud of that fact, but I am, and I'm going to, this is hanging over the edge of this table a little bit, and I'm pushing down with all my weight, and it's not lifting up on the other side. Like I said, I mean, if I really wanted to, just like, can I get it up? You know, I can probably do it, you know, but, you know, it's just, you're going to have like a concerted effort to actually move this from the table. So there's all kinds of cool things about it, but ultimately that's the big thing, right? You have a table in your house, you've put this on top of it, bam, now you have an awesome gaming table surface that you can play on. Now, this is a recessed section, and you can see there is wood underneath here, and you could, I guess, play on this if you wanted to. And Kevin is selling these premium mats that it has, and I don't actually have one. This is my gaming mat. I got this. It has my logo on it, but if this was the perfect size for this. This is a 3-foot by 3-foot playing surface. This table, I think it's called the Hudson on the Kickstarter, and it is the perfect size for my game room. Now I'm going to back. I've backed the Kickstarter already. I'm backing it to get a larger one. You know, so I can actually have that, and it actually comes in 2 pieces that I can use for my like larger gaming table and my larger kitchen table, you know, in my house, and I can convert that to a gaming area. Also, because these things are portable. Now, mind you, they're not like, you know, stick on your hand, spin them around, and juggle them back and forth portable, but they are, you can pick these things up and you can put them in the back of your car, and you know, in the trunk or the back seat. I drive a Ford Explorer, so I can just put it right there in the back, and I can drive to my local game store where they have open gaming nights, and I can go ahead and set that up on a table, and I can play on that. And I've done that, and I've definitely turned a few eyes and people, and I'm happy to tell them where they can get one. And I know a lot of people locally who have backed the tables and are excited about them. So now, before I show you some of the other things that we can do, and before we get back to like basically my final thoughts, I want to show you something. So here's some playing cards, right? There is a ledge right here along the side where you can go ahead and you can place these playing cards in these locations. Now, how many games do you have where you have cards, right? You're going to have cards that you're going to be looking at and doing things with, and you know, and having you. This is a situation where you can just now place these cards. Your hands are free to do other things. You can talk. You can do whatever, and now you don't have to take up more of the table space, you know, for, you know, what you're doing. And plus, like I said, you can have these just sitting up in front of you, and they're right there. You can see these. You can look at the table. You can make your decisions. You don't have to have your hand in your hand on the cards the entire time. You don't have to like worry about people like, you know, bending the cards as they're trying to decide what they're doing. You're like, my cards, you know, that sort of thing. So I just, and I don't, I mean, this was, from what I understood, and I might be incorrect here, but this was kind of almost an afterthought that they did. And this is just an innovation that they added to the rail system, which is basically what he's using. He's using all these different rails and then putting like wood on these different rails to create these tables, and that's why he's able to create all these different sizes of tables as well. So, all right, so that is the 2 big things. I wanted to basically show you how sturdy it was, I wanted to show you the rail system, and I wanted to show you just kind of how this is very, very sturdy and awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut away, and I'm going to show you some of it. You might have noticed this, well, you know what, I might as well show you the dice tower right now. So here is this really cool dice tower. This is something that you can get as an add-on to your pledge. And this has this little curve system here, so what happens is it just slides right on the side like so. And you can move this, you know, with a little bit of, like, you kind of pick it up and shuffle it. And I know that sounds really scratchy, but this is not scratching. I've played with this on here, and I'm not busting up. I'm not crinkling up the wood or the aluminum that's on the side at all. And so now we have a dice tower, a really cool dice tower, where, like, if we're playing D&D or we're playing a dice game or whatever, I'm going to roll 4 6-sideds, right? And I'm just going to plop them there like so, and they're going to spit out the front like you just saw. And my kids love this. They can do this, and it's admittedly kind of loud, but they could do this all day long. And trust me, I hear them downstairs in my game room doing this all day long. And these are really, really cool. And I mean, dice towers, yeah, there's, what's the difference between rolling a die in there or just rolling the dice like so? Well, very little, right? But people do like the kinetic action of the dice towers, the sound of the dice towers, and plus the fact that it just spits it right out onto the play surface. I think that's awesome, and I think that's really, really cool. All right, so now let me just show you some of the other things that you can have, and mostly these are going to be like little, because there's an awesome little a system where you're able to put your drink holders and things along the side of the table. Let me show you those. Okay, so these are these little side rail systems that are going to be used. Both, like you can see, these have this wooden pad on top of it, so you can use these to hold components. Like you can use them to hold your dice on here if you want to. If you have different items as far as like you're playing a game like any games that have like other wooden pieces, perhaps there's even pieces that you want to kind of keep secret, you definitely can just put them on these, and you could use them as added space to the table that you wanted to keep out of sight. But the big thing is, and this is the wine goblet holder, but the big thing is that you actually, if you pop this up, and then you have this item here, which is obviously something to hold your drinks. Now, no longer do you have to have your drinks on top of the table. You don't have to worry about it being tipped over and spilt on your game components or anything like that. It will be secured right there. And I should mention that on the other side of this, they have this wooden top that is flat, and so now you can use this as a writing surface if you're taking care of notes, you're totaling up scores, whatever. You can use the other side for that as well. It's completely and totally interchangeable. And the large one up here has the exact same thing on the other side. It has a wooden side that you can use for the nice flat writing surface or whatever you want to use that for. But it also has these 2 drink holders on it as well. And the drink holders can actually hold like any size drink. So here we just have this can of Pib Extra, which is an awesome drink. I really like Pib Extra. It's better than Dr. Pepper, mind you. Anybody who tells you differently is wrong. A big giant water glass just can go right in there like so. And even if you're one of those people that carries around those big giant tumblers, they will slide in perfectly. And now those are all secured. And if you are drinking a fine vintage, if you will, you can definitely use a wine glass in the exact same spot. Obviously, these are really cool. And the awesome thing is that all of these are easily removable, just like that. You'll notice that they have this little ridge there where that will slide in right on the side like so. And there it is. And now it is locked in place. You can't notice how like I'm moving this, but the table is moving instead. This isn't going to be jostled. You have to actually just lift it up and then remove it. Or if you want to, you can lift it up and just slide it up and down to the spot that you need it to be on the table, and then just put it back into place. I'm putting a little weight on here. I mean, I'm not going to jump up and down on this, but I mean, I could probably break it if I wanted to. But these are sturdy. These are not a flimsy piece of wood. They're hardwood that will keep your drink safe. And also, if somebody bumps into them or something like that, they're not going to snap off. They're not going to break. They are going to stay in place. So, I mean, obviously, the table itself is really, really cool, but having the ability to have your drinks or a playing surface or a rolling a dice surface or any of those things on the side of the table just to add to the enhancement of the experience is an awesome thing, and I'm glad that he did this. But and the thing is that like, obviously these are all interchangeable, right? Because of the fact that each one of the sides has this rail system, has that section that you can use for any of these things. You want a bunch of these big giant pads, you can order them and you can have them. You can have one of those on each side of the table. You want to have wine goblets on each side, you can have that. You can decide. It goes along right with the dice tower. You can have a dice tower on every single side of the table as well. Just you get to decide how your gaming experience goes. All right, so obviously the Gametopper thing is cool, but let me talk about what I, like, as far as my final thoughts about it, and maybe, like, try to guess why somebody, might have a few questions as to why they might need one of these. All right, now you don't have to look down on me anymore. You can actually look at probably in the spectrum that you're used to talking to me about. So, just a couple of quick things. Um, I'm going to kind of go off on one of my little tangents and talk about a lot of things here. And I know a lot of people say, well, get to the point, whatever. So before I go off on one of my big giant tangents about this whole process and the Game Topper and Kevin, the designer, and all those things, let me just say this. This is an excellent item. It bridges the gap between I think the two big things that people have a problem with in order to actually have like a gaming table experience. Now, the gaming table experience, I mean, you have to kind of decide for yourself whether that's something that you need or want. Is it kind of a luxury item? Sure. You probably play your card and board games right now on a table or on a playing surface or whatever that works perfectly fine for what you're doing. You're able to put the game board in the middle of the table. You're able to put out the pieces, the meeples, the cards, everything like that, and you play the game, and the game is going to play fine, right? There's nothing wrong with it. The bottom line is that this is an enhancement. It is something that is going to better the enjoyment that you have for that experience, because yes, it's a bit of a luxury item, but it's just kind of one of those things where it adds, it takes the game, and then it adds a little more to it, right? It's kind of like I liken it a little bit to the fact that, like, I play a lot of poker, right? And for the longest time, I played with those really, really cheap dice poker chips that you can pick up at Walmart in a case. You can get 500 of them for like $15, right? They're super cheap. And we got those for the first time ever. That was actually an upgrade to those poker chips that actually have the ridges that lock together, right? That everybody had. It was an upgrade. We were like, these are really cool. We have actual poker chips, but they really weren't really good poker chips. And later on in life, in the last few years, I've actually purchased top-end, high-end poker chip sets to play poker. Now, the poker chips we used before worked fine. They didn't change anything. The poker we played was great. But with the addition of having a really, really nice-looking poker, it just elevates the experience. It's just nice to see them on the table. It's just nice to be playing with. They're nice to feel in your hands. And that's the same thing with this. Sitting at one of these Game Toppers and playing a game, it just adds to it. As you're playing, you're resting your elbows on this side, and it feels good. The play area is a little bit depressed, not like way down like a casino, like where you're like playing roulette or you're playing craps, and like you got this giant like cavernous like opening in the bottom. No, it's just like you go down. I think it's about 1.5 inches, so it's just a little bit recessed. So you just kind of feel you're looking down on the game. It's one of those things where it just adds that little bit extra to the player's experience. And ultimately, you have to decide for yourself if you think that's worth the money in purchasing this. Now, what any of those other gaming tables you go and get, those are amazing gaming tables that you can go out and purchase right now. I mean, but obviously they cost quite a bit of money. You are investing a great deal into that item. But the major part of that item is that this surface, right? This raised ridge around the table, and the fact that you're just sitting there and you feel it just feels better, right? I mean, if you've played on a table like that, if you've been at a convention where you've been able to demo a game at one of those types of tables, or if like you have a friend that has one or something like that, you know what I'm talking about. So you have to decide for yourself if it's something that you think that it is worth your money to enhance your gaming experience with it. And ultimately, my opinion is these things are awesome. They're great. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They elevate the gaming experience for an affordable price, and they are one of those things where they, it bridges that gap, like I said. Not many people, if you're living in an apartment, you don't have room for 2 kitchen tables. You don't have room for 2 giant tables. If you are if you have a limited space within your house, and like you want to have an option to like set up a table on an ottoman or something like that, this is your option. If you don't have the ability to spend 3, 4, 5 grand on a table, this is your option. This is what you have, and I think it allows you then to experience the games in that way that you might want to, within the space and the money that you at a price that you can afford. So that being said, that's that. It's awesome. It's sturdy. It does its job. It does its job better than you probably could than you could ever possibly hope for. I mean, until you actually see it and sit at one, you wouldn't know. But I mean, it's just amazing. Everybody, like, when we play, even though this is a smaller table, when I'm playing 2-player games and I have people over, and we played 4-player games in this room too. It's a little cramped, but it's just we want to play on this surface just because it's that much better. So there you go. Now, this is where you could turn it off if you don't want to. I just want to talk a little bit about Kevin, and about the fact that, one, yes, he's an extremely good friend of mine. He lives about an hour away from me, and so if you want to put that into your decision as far as how I feel about it, what I'm talking about as far as this goes, then you go ahead. But I will be the first one to admit, the first time that he showed me his very first ever attempt at this, and this is a while back ago. This is 3-4 years ago, where he showed me his very first ever prototype for this Gametopper. I was like, ugh, I had to be kind of brutally honest with him. I told him, I was like, I don't know if people are going to want this, and I tried to put it in a way that was, kind, but also just, I didn't want him to make a mistake because he was a friend. And then after a little while, then he came up with another prototype. He showed it to me, and came up with another one and showed it to me. And up until about a year ago, I remember distinctly a phone call that he called me up, and he said to me, I want to talk to you about something. I was like, yeah, sure. And I was sitting at this table, and I listened to him, and he talked to me about this business plan that he had for the Gametopper. And I'll be completely honest. I mean, and you could ask Kevin if you could probably ask him. He'll be fully honest. He would get done, and I just said, well, I mean, if you think it'll work, Kevin, go for it. And he was actually a little disheartened. He was like, I really thought you'd be more excited about this. And I was like, and I just, like I said, I didn't know if people were going to be that gung ho for it. It was just one of those things where, I was wrong. I'll just say that. I mean, I was just, my misgivings and my trials and tribulations as far as the decision making between whether or not these would be something people would be interested in. I was completely wrong, and he's proven me wrong, and I'm really happy for him. Kevin is a really, really nice guy, and that shouldn't matter one hoot whether or not you want to give him $1 of your money. So please don't construe me telling you that Kevin's a nice dude as a reason for you to back his project. But the thing is that Kevin's a straight shooter, and he's a really, really decent guy, and he's lived like 4 or 5 lifetimes in the one that he's had so far. He's literally, I think, done almost everything. I mean, he's traveled the world. He's an entrepreneur. He's a master chef. He's created computer companies that he then sold. He is a stonemason. It's just he lives in a ranch, basically this log cabin ranch on like 11 acres of land out in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Like you said, he lives about an hour away from me, and he's truly a one of a kind individual. And a week doesn't go by without he and I talking on the phone. And I guess I'm saying this because he wouldn't create something that was half-assed, excuse my language, or that was crap. And he would not attach his name to something that he did not take a great, great, great deal of pride in. And when I tell you that these Gametoppers are master craftsmanship and well worth your money, I mean it wholeheartedly. just because Kevin would never expect anything less than that out of himself, and he would be thoroughly disappointed in himself and his production if he ever was disingenuine about anything that he does. He is a true delight and a gentleman and a scholar, and would give the shirt off his back to a stranger if they asked him for it. And I literally I can't say enough nice things about Kevin, and I can't say enough how happy I am that I was wrong about the Game Topper. So there you go. You know what? It's not going to be for everybody, but if you are looking for the true like gaming experience, right? Like as far as like the game table experience, but you can't, you for whatever reason financially afford it or size afford that experience, then this is your solution. This is your answer. And I strongly suggest that you take Kevin up on the chance of him making you a very, very, very happy customer. So there you go. That's Gametoppers. If you have any questions, any comments, anything at all, fire away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, especially since the fact that you took the time to listen to me talk about the fact that Kevin is an amazing individual. So thank you. Thank you very much for that. Everybody should get to meet Kevin. And he quite possibly could change your life for the better. All right. So thank you very much for your time, and you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right. Bye.